Hello and welcome to another chess game. In this video I'm going to continue the coverage from the Chessable Masters online tournament. So we are going to now see the game 4 from the second day. So what happened so far? On the first day Magnus Carlsen managed to win, so he's now leading 1-0, and Anish has to win both of the remaining days in order to clinch victory of the tournament. So this is what happened, as I mentioned before, both guys are very active on social media and Twitter. So before the second day started, they also exchanged a tweet, which was, so Magnus Carlsen tweeted that the whole thing is not scripted, but that comes from another tweet. And then the second part is get the brooms out, so that would mean that he would win 2-0. And then Anish Giri replied, "I shall fight to live another day." Yeah, so this is what happened before the games. And well, so now back to the chessboard. So as I mentioned, I'm going to cover now game 4. What happened up to this point? So on game 1, Carlsen played Giri just fantastically and also outprepared Anish Giri and just very easily and in a very nice manner managed to score a victory in the first game with the white pieces. So it seemed like Carlsen is on the way to win. So he's up on the overall score 1-0, and now he just won a game. However, the remaining games were actually totally different, and Anish had several chances. So in game 2, actually, Carlsen just played a horrible opening, and on move 15, Anish had a chance to just immediately finish off Carlsen in just 15 moves. He had a very simple winning move, but unfortunately for Anish, he actually missed it, and the game eventually ended up in a draw. So Anish didn't manage to equalize the course. On game 3, Carlsen was with the white pieces again, but in this game as well, Anish had very good chances to winning, but again, the game ended up in a draw. And now we are covering game 4, which is a must-win game for Anish. So let's see what happens here. Anish with the white pieces and Magnus with the black pieces. So Anish starts with d4 as he usually does, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, and now Anish decided to play knight c3, so no Catalan this time with g3, but knight c3. So Carlsen played c6, Anish chose bishop g5, and Carlsen opted for knight bd7, the so-called Camry Springs variation, and e3, queen a5, knight d2. So these are very standard moves. D takes c4, white takes an f6, takes back, knight c4. Actually, in this game, the players are going to play theory for quite long, so I'm not going to really stop in the beginning. This is this is theory. So Anish played rook c1, bishop e7, g3, castles, bishop g2, rook d8, castle, and bishop d7. So it's still in theory, and still actually both players remember their notes. But just a quick summary. So in these positions, white has quite good control over the center. Is ready to play e4 very soon. Actually, this is the next move of Anish, so he played e4. But as an exchange, black has the two bishops, and black is trying to play c5 or maybe e5, but it's more likely to play c5 at some point, and then try to fight in the center and open up the position. And of course, if black manages to open up the position, then the two bishops can actually exercise their true power. But for the time being, white has the two nice central pawns, and also the knights are quite active. So in this position, Carlsen played b5, knight e3, queen b6, putting some pressure on the d4 square. Actually, the players still said that they still remember their notes. And if knight d5, knight e4, bishop e8, a3. And in this position, Carlsen said after the interview that he remembered that his note says a5, which he actually played. However, it is quite a bad move. So according to the current engines, black's basically only move is knight c7, exercising some pressure on the d4 pawn. So this is by far the best move, and after a5 actually well, black is just going to have a very bad position for quite some time, and then, well, he only hopes to survive, and he also needs the help from white to actually survive. So the problem is that black has this c5 square that's readily available for the white knight, and white has obviously huge space advantage. These bishops, for the time being, especially the e8 bishop, is extremely passive, and with the help of this e5 pawn, white can also try to organize an attack against the black king. So we will see how Anish handles this. So he continued with queen d3. Now Carlsen played rook a7, knight c5, a4. Now starts bishop e4, hitting towards this pawn, and h6, rook fd1. So now white developed all his pieces, and Anish's plan is very simple. He wants to play queen e2, play bishop b1, and then put back the queen on this diagonal, and then just checkmate on h7. And actually black has very much trouble to just defend against this very simple plan. So he continued with queen b8. Now comes queen e2, as I mentioned. Black tries to open up something with b4, but Anish completely disregarded and just plays knight g4. Now black takes here, takes back, and as I mentioned before, now white's plan is simply bishop b1, queen e4, and just checkmate on h7. So for that reason, Carlsen decided that it's time to do something active and try to exchange some pieces with bishop c5, rook takes c5, and now plays rook b7 and trying to penetrate on the b file. But Anish just continues his plan, plays bishop c2, and now again the plan is to queen e4 and checkmate. So checkmate. So in this position, Carlsen decided to play knight e7 to be able to put the knight either on f5 or on g6 to block this b1 h7 diagonal and defend against the mate. However, in this position, Anish has a very strong continuation, which well, actually leads to a winning position. So now that this knight is gone from d5, the problem with the white's position is that this f6 square is now only guarded by the pawn. So well, I forgot to tell you to stop the video, but this is of course a combination, so you could also find this solution by yourself. However, I already highlighted quite a lot from the solution. So in this position, white can just play knight f6 check. And the problem for black is that he cannot accept this sacrifice. So if you take an f6, then the pawn takes back, now not only hitting the knight, but hitting towards the coverage of the g7 square, and some queen g4, queen g7 mate as well. So for that reason, black has to play knight g6. However, after queen e3, now comes the other plan to just take on h6, and actually black can do nothing about it. If he plays king h7, then the rook swings over, and again queen h6 is going to be mate. So for that reason, knight f6 is untouchable, so black just has to move his king. Carlsen decided to play king f8, and now Anish continues his plan. He leaves the knight hanging and just plays queen g4. Again, very similar motive as before. If black takes on f6, then the pawn takes back, knight g6, and after queen h5, again taking the pawn, and black is just mated. So for this reason, Carlsen again cannot touch the f6 knight, and he tries to eliminate this rook and tries to exchange some pieces. Finally, Anish removes his knight, goes to h5. Now there is queen g7 mate as a threat. Black plays g6. Again, for the third time, Anish sacrifices his knight with queen f4, but again the knight is untouchable. So if you take on h5, then it leads to very quickly to mate. Queen h6 check, king g8, and which is typical in these positions. A typical mating pattern is bishop h7. And well, this also wins, but there was actually another win. I could also show that. So bishop h7, king h8, bishop g6, king there, queen h7, and when queen h8 check, knight g8, white can just play bishop h7, and there is nothing Black can do about protecting his knight. So, and actually bishop h7, I thought it was going to lead to another mate, but we could also just start with queen h7, king h8, and save some moves before. So for this reason, again, Black cannot take on h5. So what Carlsen decided to play is knight f5, not to get mated immediately, but yeah, he probably knew that this position is completely lost, and well, in everybody's mind at this point was that blitz tiebreak is going to happen very soon. Not only the spectators and commentators, but also, I suppose, the players thought that this is what is going to win this, and the match is going to go on. So at knight f5, Giri played rook takes b5, queen takes b5, bishop takes f5. So the idea is that you cannot recapture immediately because then your h6 pawn is hanging. So Black had to play g5, an in-between move to hit the queen and protect the h6 pawn. In this position, Anish's easiest way could have been to just play queen c1, and when e takes f5, then White can open up the position with h4. Taking on g5 is the threat, and activating this queen on the dark squares, Black can do absolutely nothing. He's just going to get mated very, very soon. But Anish decided to play queen f3 in this position, which is also not a bad move. E takes f5, and this is basically the moment. So in this position, it's White to move, and actually loses his chances for the Chessable Masters. So it's White to move and finishes second, basically. So that's the exercise, if you want to make it, well, let's say funny. So if White plays like knight f6, then next move is taking here, or playing queen h5 and h4. Sorry, that's not. Playing queen h5 and h4, and Black is just truly mated. This bishop is horrible, and the king is just incredibly weak. But Anish probably already thought that he's just winning the game anyway. He just took the pawn on f5. However, this actually blunders a piece, because after queen e2, this is a double attack, and White can do nothing to protect both of his pieces. Yeah, so Carlsen just won a piece, and actually Anish's position is so dominant that he doesn't even lose in this case. He could have played rook c1, and after queen h5, queen f6, hitting the rook, and it actually leads to perpetual, because after rook takes d4, queen h8 checks, king e7, queen f6, and the Black king cannot run away with king d7, because then queen takes on c6, and well, Black just loses in this case. King e8 is queen c5 check, hitting the rook, and king d8. If you go to d8, sorry, in this position, then king c7 is mate. So for that reason, here Black cannot run away. He also has to repeat, but the repetition is already enough for Magnus Carlsen to clinch the victory of the Chessable Masters. So this is how the game ended. Anish just blew up another chance. I told you that he had really great chances in game 2, game 3, and even in game 4 he was just completely winning. Nevertheless, he made all of them ending in a draw, and he could not equalize the score, so Magnus Carlsen became the champion of this Chessable Masters online tournament 2020. So well, congratulations to him. And well, after the game, the players were interviewed, both of them at the same time, and then well, they were a lot friendlier to each other than on these tweets I showed you before. But yeah, I mean, of course they are rivals. So this also sums up this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like the video, you can give it a thumbs up, and you can also subscribe to my channel to never miss some great chess videos. And see you in the next video.